Coach, could you give us like an opening statement on the scrimmage?
Yeah, thought it actually came out healthy. That's the most important thing. So that's really good. We've been able to get through camp, a very physical, taxing camp, and to be as healthy as we are, that's a good thing. That means obviously Coach Ashford's done a heck of a job this summer preparing these guys' bodies. They've done a really good job of taking to the nutrition plan and rehab and maintenance plan that comes along with going through camp. So it's been really good from that perspective. I thought today our twos and threes who we scrimmaged today, actually some guys did some really good things. I was really impressed with the flow, the organization of it, right? You think sometimes you get the younger guys in there, you have a lot of penalties or a lot of formation issues. We didn't have that. So that's a credit to the coaches of obviously getting the guys prepared for today's scrimmage so they could show what they could do. I thought some young guys made some plays. I thought, again, offensively, our tempo got better, more consistent. It was thud, so it was still difficult to see, what's going to happen after the ball gets caught or, break tackles or those type of things. But overall, I was really pleased. Our kicking game was light years better from last week. It was god-awful, atrocious last week, and today it was might have been perfect today. So that's really good. So obviously, guys are improving. Guys are taking the coaching. Guys are working at their craft. We got to continue. We got time still to make progress, and we got a long way to go. We'll make the turn tomorrow and start really getting into game preparation and teaching the guys how to prepare for a game week. Really helping the guys with understanding how to take care of their bodies as the season goes on. All of those things. So overall, satisfied with where we are, but we still got work to do.
Coach, to Huff, off his question, can you speak about your philosophy with tackling through your fall camp? I know y'all thud quite a bit. Just to keep that razor sharp, but also prevent injury.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know if there's a right way or a wrong way. I've done it both ways. We spend probably about 20 minutes a day in practice just on tackling, not thudding, but just tackling drills. So if you can get yourself in the right body position off of blocks, off of leverage, you should be able to perform a tackle in a game. I think sometimes when you allow guys to tackle, it turns into WWE and they throw their bodies around and they don't really focus on the fundamentals. We spend a lot of time teaching the fundamentals of tackling. What we do see is when we do thud, we're seeing those fundamentals show up. Now, the risk you run is, Coach, we may not tackle well in the first game. That's true. I'm probably more leaning towards when you're not sure about your depth. You want to make sure you have the guys to miss tackles in the first game, if that makes sense. If this were a year two and we kind of knew what we had, maybe you let some of the younger guys tackle a little bit. But overall, I think it just depends by year. You get some of these guys in, you don't know, what they do, what they can do, and all of a sudden he goes down. First 2 days of camp with an injury, you don't know what you have. So I've done it both ways. I've done it in years where we've tackled, a lot in camp. I've done it in years where we haven't. I'm not sure that there is a perfect way. I do think you have to be consistent about the techniques and fundamentals of tackling. So we'll see. So if we miss a bunch of tackles on the 30th, it probably wasn't the right way. But I think in the long run, it'll pay off.
Could you speak to the development and growth of Greg Nunnery?
Yeah, trust me, he's still a long way from home, but he has made tremendous strides. I think sometimes if you just push kids a little bit and you kind of let them know this is the way it's going to be or else, they kind of comply. It starts with building a relationship. It starts with telling the kids what you see in them. It starts with explaining to them why you're pushing them so hard, why the discipline matters, why you're asking them to give more. A lot of times kids work to just pass a class. I explained to Greg earlier in camp, we're not trying to get you to pass this class. We want you to ace the class because you can. And he has bought in completely with what we're asking him to do. He is outside of his realm of comfort, but he is embracing it. His teammates are embracing him. He still fails some days. He'll tell you, hey, I wasn't as good as today as I was yesterday. He's always had physical talent. He's had to push through, this camp, which has been really good. I couldn't be more proud of him. We told him we're not letting up on you because you have talent. But again, I think it starts to build a relationship, get to know the kid, and then you know how to push the buttons. And then they receive it as coach is trying to help me, coach is not on me. And I think that's where we've gotten Greg. Coach Coughlin's done a good job with, really helping refine his technique. He's lost weight. He's changed his habits outside the building a little bit, which makes you feel a little bit better. So I commend him. I tell him every day. He comes by my office every day on the way to breakfast. I commend him every day. And I tell him, I'm going to be at practice today, Greg. So, I'm going to be on you. He said, I need it, Coach. So I think he's done a great job. Obviously, he's got a long way to go to continue to build the consistency. It's like, I go on a diet and 3 days into it, I'm like, I don't know about that. But, if you stick with it, it'll pay off. And he's done that so far, so I'm really proud of him.
Do you like where that unit is at this juncture?
You know what? I think after this last week, I feel good. Now, I hate throwing that out there because we're playing an SEC team, which you guys do know that's the best conference in the world. AFC, NFC, SEC. So I don't know if we're ready to go play an SEC team yet with that group. But I feel good about where they are from a consistency standpoint compared to the level that we're going to be competing against. We've got to make sure we've got the best guys in the right seats for this first game. Once we start really diving into, the opponent and what they do and where we think the guys are best. But I feel really good. I think we got 6 or 7 guys that we can go compete with right now. I think we got 6 or 7 guys that as the season goes on will be really competitive. This week is about, okay, who's the next guy if something happens? Hey, can this guy play center? If this guy goes down, is the right guard the best center or is the backup center the best center? But I feel good about what we have. We've just got to make sure we get them in the best seats. We've got a left side and a right side right now. Today we gave some guys some reps, same side, different position. So left guard, left tackle, but you're still on the left. Moving forward this week, we'll say, okay, hey, you are the next best guard. You're the next best tackle on the right side, left side. But I feel good with where we are for 14 days out.
Coach, I heard you speak earlier this week of creating depth in this camp. Can you kind of speak to some guys who maybe have provided to you or taken that next step? Maybe that guy like a Highlandback where people didn't know a whole lot about him.
Yeah, we've probably got, to be honest, we've probably got 10 or 12 D linemen who can play. The deciding factor is going to be who can play consistently, right? Anybody can go up there and knock a guy back, but who can play within the framework of the defense? The first scrimmage we had probably 3 or 4 false start or offsides. This scrimmage we had 1. So guys that you can play, but can you be disciplined enough to do the things you're supposed to do? I think guys like Hollenbach has done a really good job of creating some depth. I think what it's also done is it's allowed the group to understand that there's competition. So there's never a drop-off day. So even guys like Hollenbach who have progressed, they've pushed, the Gibbies and the Broderiuses, and they've made them even better. I think McKinney's done a really good job, and he's been an inside and outside guy. Jameer Lewis, who's been here before, has done a really good job. Just rolling through. Mason Clinton has done a really good job as the camp has gone on. And what we've begun to see is at multiple positions, not just the D-line, guys had the talent. The first week of camp, you see them flashing, spiders, and everybody's running around. Nobody can block anybody because you can't really touch them. The second week, you put the pads on, but the install starts to get heavy. So they kind of slow down a little bit. Last week was the week you started to see guys kind of get back to their norm and start really impressing you, if that makes sense, with consistency. So it'll be interesting now when we shrink the game plan down. When you're installing the entire defense. And that slows the mind down, which slows the feet down. Now when we shrink the game plan and we say, hey, these are the 4 or 5 plays that we're going to run in this game, guys can get a little bit more confident. They get repetition over and over and over, which allows some of those guys who were depth guys to be even more productive. So now we have more of a rotation. I believe in rotating the D-line. You can't just play with 4. You got to have guys that can roll that position. It's probably the most taxed position on the field because you're trying to push 300 pounds that way. Then you got to put your foot and run and chase a 4-3 guy that way. Then you got to get set again and push a 300-pound guy. So that position is taxing. So we try to keep them fresh, but I think they've done a really good job of kind of grasping the system now, getting comfortable, making strides. So moving forward, I feel really good about being able to create more depth with less volume, is probably the way to say it.
Coach, talking about the offensive line and defensive line, how important do you view just being strong at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball in helping this team, reach where you guys want to reach this year?
Yeah, I mean, I've won the league before, so I kind of know, in order to win this league, you got to be good in the lines. That's where it's at. This league is probably one of the most competitive front seven leagues that I've been in outside of the SEC. There's not a drop off. Even the teams that maybe don't have a great record have good O linemen and D linemen. So our ability to be consistent in those two positions throughout the year is really going to determine how we play and how successful we are. The ability for us to stay healthy at those positions is going to determine how we play. That's why we're so big on trying to create depth. We probably held, 7 or 8 guys out in the lines, O and D lines today, just to see who else could possibly be a guy down the road, because that position, those two positions will dictate your season. When you're good at those positions, things go well. When you're not, you struggle. So we've got to continue not only to get the guys that are playing well to keep playing well, we've got to continue to develop some guys so as the season goes on and the guy wears down or maybe a guy's out, we have some people that can step in without drop off.
How would you rate the quarterback play today?
I actually thought, Braylon didn't go today. But I thought Jacoby, really stepped up in some true game-like, action and got out of the pocket and ran. I think he scored on a run and play today. He threw a big pass. I thought Liddy moved the field really good. He ran the 2-minute drill and drove us down and scored. I thought both of those two guys, Liddy and Jacoby, had really good presence. Last week, Braylon had the presence, and he was the guy out there kind of commanding. But I thought this week those two guys took a big step in presence on the field. I kind of stand back and blow the whistle on sacks and downs and all that stuff, but you can kind of feel, when the quarterback's got presence back there. I thought both of those guys had that. I thought Liddy threw the ball down the field pretty good today on some deep throws. So I feel better about our backup quarterback situation going into next week. We've got to now figure out, okay, what do they do well? What do we want to carry into the game plan, so we can make sure we're not putting a game plan together for one quarterback and then have to go to another one, and all of a sudden we don't have a system that's advantageous to him. But I felt pretty good about the two guys today. They took a big step.
What special teams? What's been the challenge of taking all the new pieces and put that together?
Yeah, I probably I don't know if I crushed the confidence of the kickers last week because they were god awful. I told them my 2-year-old could kick better than them, and they responded. We've been talking about that. And Reed, from a kicking standpoint, the last 2 days has been 100%, and that's a big response. And his response was not, "Oh, coach is picking on me," like some of these kids do. His response was he was out here at 6 a.m. working on his kickoffs. He was out here at 6 a.m. working on his field goals. In between walkthrough and practice, he was out here working on the steps, and it showed. The last 2 days he's been 100%, and we're not talking chip shots. And the ball's coming off his foot better. Even our younger kicker actually did well today. So I'm impressed with the way those guys responded. That position's tough. It is. It's like your golf shot, man. Sometimes it goes right where you want it, and then sometimes I don't know how it ends up over there. But for those guys to be able to respond, and that's what I was doing. I was trying to challenge them, not say that they kick like 2-year-olds. I'm trying to challenge them, man. When you miss a kick, the whole stadium knows. When things don't go right, everyone can point at you. So you got to be able to respond. I thought they did a really good job of that. We're starting to get our Australian punter going. He's kind of got cut loose this week, so he's been doing pretty well. He's got some, as the punt returners say, he's got the trick 'em stuff, and the ball comes out all kinds of ways. So it was good to get him going. Got to make sure that he's in a routine to where he's not, dead by the end of the week, from a kicking standpoint, but he's building up his endurance. Really impressed with him. He punted well today. Now we'll go back and we'll start plugging in the pieces on the other units, the punt team, the field goal, the punt return team, kickoff return, with the guys who, hey, you're a starter, you're on one, you're a backup, you're probably going to be on two. So now we've kind of got our, not depth chart set, but we kind of got our, travel squad, rotational squad, and then our red shirts. Now that we've got that, we can start plugging in where, hey, you can play on punt, you can play on kickoff return. Here's an opportunity for you to get extra reps. So I feel pretty good about it now that we've kind of got some division in. The guys are going to play a bunch for us on offense and defense. The guys that are rotational, they'll play a bunch on special teams.
About the return guys, so you narrowed it down, or you just got?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough when you got, the number one kick returner in the country, and then you bring Micah from Ole Miss, who did a really good job returning. So we've got some options there. I think it's really going to determine, flow of the game. If we're starting the game, maybe we start with, Ian because Micah's going to go out on offense or vice versa. So I think that creates a lot of flexibility for us. We haven't made a decision yet, but when you got two guys with that type of electricity, you can keep them fresh because both of them are starters. So you got to say, okay, well, if we're starting the game, with a kickoff return and we're going to go on offense, maybe we want Ian. Or maybe we want Micah because Micah hits it better. Or maybe Micah runs the field return better than the boundary or vice versa. Our punt returners are the same way. Micah's a punt returner. Smooth. Metcalf was a punt returner for us before he got hurt. Chuck Montgomery. The one who's really impressed is Jermaine Hayes, true freshman. So we got a lot of options back there. The big part is, being a former special teams coordinator, you can put Dion back there. If you don't hold up for him, it's going to be tough. So we got to get some guys up front to work the correct techniques and, get good hold ups and give them a chance to get started. But once we get these guys started, I think we'll have the ability to create some plays.
Coach, FanFest later today, can you just talk about just how important is it for the new guys to continue to connect to the community here?
Yeah, I hope every person in Hattiesburg comes out today because these guys are excited to get to meet the fans. Obviously, when you're in camp, it's tough with the schedule to get out and to get around. But they've been excited for Fan Day. We were practicing yesterday during Paint and Eagle Walk, and our guys were like, well, we should be over there. I said, no, we should be over here. But they're excited. They feel it. They understand it. As much as they're excited to go out and perform, they're also excited to get involved with the fans in this community. It's a big part of it. There is no excitement without the community, and there is no community without the excitement. So they go together, right? The community creates that excitement. So our guys want to be able to get out today. It'll be great. We'll be on the field. All the players will be out there, get a chance to sign autographs, shake some hands, get to see these young men under the helmet, get to meet them as people, not just players. And then for our new guys that have just gotten here, they'll get a chance to really see this community is special. The fans in this community, the parents, the kids, the college students, the new freshman class that just came in, it's a special group. And I think the more we can intermingle Saturday games, baseball, basketball, I think volleyball's got a scrimmage today, Fan Fest, Paint and Eagle Walk, all of the things that bring this community together. The more we can do that, I think the stronger a bond we'll continue to build, which will help everybody, rise the tide lifts all boats.
Who are like some of the more personal guys, characters on the team that you think will really connect with the
it's like 1,000 of them. I mean, before I come into the team room, it's like a comedy show. So, but they'll definitely like the personality. Charles Montgomery's got a phenomenal personality. Bro Darius Lewis actually has got an unbelievable personality. It's actually some of the biggest, ugliest guys have the best personality. I don't understand how it happens, but all of them are great people, man. And that's the one thing, people always ask, how do you manage, bringing in so many guys, right? We do a legitimate character check on our guys, right? You can run really fast, but if you don't have good character, you can't play for me. So we do a really good character check. I'm not saying they're all saints. I'm not saying they don't make mistakes, but they're all good-hearted kids, and they all understand that this is bigger than them, and this is bigger than USM football. This is the entire city of Hattiesburg that we're representing. So they really embrace that. So they'll see some characters out there today on the offense and the defensive sides of the ball. Our special teams guys they've got some jokes too. So it'll be a good turnout.
Anything else? Coach, thank you.
Thanks guys. Appreciate you.